Please welcome the President for India and South Asia at Uber, Prabhjeet Singh, in discussion with Skift Asia editor Pidon Bhutia.
Hello again. I promise you'll not see me after this. Of course, Uber, like I was telling Prab, is more of a verb now. It's more than a proper noun. So, Prab, despite the fact that India contributes a very small pie to your global earnings, why is India an investment opportunity for Uber? What's your vision?
Look, I would challenge that starting thesis. We are the third largest market by volume for Uber globally and among the fastest growing geographies, just given the incredible opportunity. Why we are excited, India is significantly underpenetrated. Today, less than 30 households per thousand would have a car, and we believe India has an incredible opportunity to leapfrog private vehicle ownership. Second, India is also a big innovation hub. So what we are doing here with a combination of diverse set of products, four-wheelers, three-wheelers, two-wheelers, multiple wheels. You can actually take a Uber shuttle in Delhi to go back today evening, or being able to take an Uber to go from Delhi to Agra, see the Taj Mahal and come back, or keep the car with you for next 3 days. These are all innovations which are India first and then incredibly important for us to take to the rest of the world. And then third is as India becomes a bigger part of the global economy, we continue to participate in that opportunity, and we continue to see India's role in the global portfolio get even more important.
Interesting. Also, what's interesting is that Uber has developed from a four-wheel drive to move to two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Uber Moto, Uber Auto. So of course, India, when it comes to last-mile connectivity, it's there's the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers that helps you. So can you talk a little bit about this transition? How hard or easy was that?
I think this is the transition we're just incredibly excited by. The reality is, and probably all of you have experienced growing up in India, is a regular Indian doesn't necessarily grow up traveling by air-conditioned car. We end up traveling by autos, we got e-rickshaws, buses. In some form, our vision was to make sure that the same technology which is enabling shared mobility to be successful for cars should also allow the same magic to happen for segments which are looking for a more affordable price point. And that's what innovated around three-wheelers, two-wheelers, buses. Fun fact, today we do more trips on three-wheelers and two-wheelers in India than we do on the cars business. And these are parts of the portfolio which are growing very fast. The challenge on transition, I think, wasn't straightforward. While the core of what we bring to the table, the safety experience, the infrastructure around mapping, routing, being able to create the same value proposition, doorstep pickup, no hassle, etc., are similar. But being able to make the cost structures work when your average trip fare is only $1 a trip, and Uber say going to make less than 10% of that as its service fee, how do you make the cost structures work? So how do you innovate around that? How do you go and convince someone who doesn't have a mobile phone, say someone who's an e-rickshaw driver or an auto driver who hasn't historically used a smartphone, convince them to come onto the platform, experience it, see the value, stick on? I think that's been a journey, and we feel excited about what that has led to, and we continue to hence not just go deeper hence into the urban pockets. The best part about being able to serve a three-wheeler and two-wheeler category is that it's actually opening up new geographies for us, which allows us to go deeper into the rest of India. There are cities where we actually don't run the cars-based business. You can only find an Uber Auto or Uber Moto.
Exactly. Also, I wanted to talk about, we also talk about the power and the potential of tier 2 and tier 3 cities and of the smaller cities in India. And while Uber is getting there, how difficult is it to cater to a non-metro or, traveler?
I think the way we think of this is, at the end of the day, our vision is to serve multiple use cases for multiple consumer segments, which means you could be an office goer in Delhi, Gurgaon, who wants to use an Uber X. Some of the days you actually want to take a metro system and then take an Uber X at the end of it, or a three-wheeler or two-wheeler. When it comes to serving consumers in the outskirt markets or smaller cities, we believe there are two things which are incredibly important. One is the use cases are often different. You may not necessarily have a commute use case as the dominant use case, and hence how do you show up for social use cases? How do you use up for last mile connectivity when consumers are going to the railway station? Second is affordability. Given The consumer segment also tends to be price sensitive. How do you get them to start off on a product which seems more comfortable, convenient, something which they're used to? Now, everyone's used to taking an auto. Now, just experience the magic of getting that auto to your doorstep and then jump onto that. So I think that's been the core focus. We still are very early in our journey. There are so many more cities we want to penetrate, so much more deeper we want to go into. But now we believe we have the right operating system required for us to serve these consumers at scale.
On the topic of operating system, talk a little bit about, I want to ask you about ONDC, which is the Open Network for Digital Commerce, which is a public technology initiative launched by the government of India, in which it brings together consumers and companies through apps, right? Connects consumers and companies through apps. Uber has signed, an MOU with ONDC. So, and with that, there are murmurs of an Uber Eats revival, so are you looking, what is the role of ONDC in Uber's, India story? Are you looking at it basically from a mobility point of view, or are you looking at a broader super app play in India?
And the way we look at this is, ONDC is an incredible innovation, still very early stage, which is going to enable democratization of digital commerce. It is going to bring to the digital fold millions of new consumers and suppliers who otherwise may not be part of the ecosystem. And that is the core thesis why we are excited about what happened with ONDC. I think our role with ONDC is really about participating in the network and at the right time expand our mobility offering, which obviously is the existing business which we run, and we are continuing to diversify. We'll continue to explore adjacencies in the future. And we'll continue to see, as the network expands, either geographically or in terms of width of services, what else can we bring forward to the consumer ecosystem which we are already serving. We are already, I would like to think of us as the one-stop shop for all your mobility needs, but there is more we can do to bring on other mobility services, and never say never to what else we may do with it.
When you say more, I'm thinking of these talks of an Uber-Ola merger. And of course, a few days ago, we heard about the fact that, about Uber's acquisition of BlueSmart. Now, BlueSmart is the EV platform for, it's like EV for, Uber for EVs, something like that. Of course, you have your Uber Green as well. So how do these speculations kind of, challenge or help you in your functioning in India? And what is the competitive advantage that Uber has over these local players?
I think, Pedin, one thing I have learned over the last 11 years, I have built this business in this incredibly important market, is that the fact if there is dialogue around ride-hailing in the wider ecosystem, it's a good sign. It means people are finding ride-hailing to be relevant. It is making a difference for them. They want us to continue to innovate and explore. I think when it comes to specific players, our simple mantra is we are competition aware, but not competition obsessed. Our job is to make sure that we deliver on our value proposition to consumers and earners. And as long as we are doing that day in and day out, continuing to challenge ourselves, we should be able to serve the consumer needs, whether that is an EV, whether that's a three-wheeler, two-wheeler, whether that is any other kind of ecosystem. We believe we should be able to serve that. And we stay very, very focused on our job and making sure the experience gets better and better every day.
So there is no talk of Uber acquiring BlueSmart?
I will not comment on that. I think what's important for me is heads down focus on what I can control, which is build a business and make sure that you get the car as we promise. We can definitely do better on that. We can improve quality of vehicles. Can we bring more premium services? Can we serve the Aam Aadmi and the Aam Aurat of India even more deeply? I am obsessed with that, and on the journey, different angles may play out.
So, when we talk about the Aam Aadmi or the Aam Aurat, of course, cabs are seen as also about women's safety. When we talk about women's safety, and I know that Uber has had a few campaigns around that, so when it's not just about foreign tourists coming into India, but when people are using Uber as a trusted means of transport, how are you working to ensure women's safety?
I think focusing on safety men or women is a #1 priority for us. I think there is absolutely no question on the #1 thing we all obsess about. In fact, at Uber, we actually have a value among the top 8 values we have, which is safety never stops. We want to make sure that every decision, every call we take puts customer or driver safety front and center. I think that becomes even more important for an emerging market like India, where there are many new to category customers coming to the platform. I think we just obsess upon doing 3 things. One is making sure before the ride, we have done everything possible in terms of background checks, authentication, provide you the visibility on who's going to come pick you up, their photograph, their background, so that you can make the right choice. Second is during the trip, if in case something goes wrong, you have the ability to reach out to us through a, for example, a 24/7 helpline, law enforcement integration within many cities. You may request an SOS and it will connect to the police control room, and being able to make sure that there is call anonymization so that your number gets protected. And then post the trip, make sure that in case you would like to report something about a specific incident, we are able to capture that and then build it into our action plans across it. Having said that, I take pride in the work which our teams are doing. We also do things around gender sensitization for drivers. For example, we have trained more than 100,000 drivers on how to operate in case you have a woman driver in the back seat. I think we have found that to be, again, an incredibly important India first innovation and has kind of shown strong progress. But this is something we can never take for granted. You can never say enough is enough. You have to keep finding ways to make your platform safer. And we believe long term, it is both the right thing to do for our consumers, and it will help us actually grow our business because consumers will choose Uber because they trust that we have done the right thing in the back end to make their trip safer.
You talked about consumers, but I think consumer dissatisfaction is also, and we've mentioned it before as well. In India, consumers are very, vocal about things. So how do you handle some of these? Because of course, it's not that all of us may have had some Uber story to talk about.
Look, I think when you are running a business which is processing more than 1 billion trips a year, there will be experiences which will not play out as we would like. And I think while we strive for each trip to be magical, there are many times that will not happen. I would rather have a vocal consumer or a vocal driver than a quiet consumer and a quiet driver. I think because it forces us to get better, take the feedback, improve our processes. We've gone through phases where there was a phase where you would have seen, say, cancellation spike post the pandemic when the marketplace density reduced. Earners were very choosy on which trips they would like to take. We've gone through a phase where when post the pandemic, the number of new cars being bought in the industry had reduced. So we worked with fleet partners to re-trigger the buying cycle so that new cars can enter the ecosystem. If you look more closely recently, there was a feedback from many of our high-value consumers that they would like to have a premium product for the use cases. Many of our business consumers who are in the room. So we introduced Uber Black, which is live in 3 cities. We've introduced Reserve, where you can actually book an Uber in advance with almost 100% reliability and assurance that the vehicle will show up. We've introduced products like Intercity, which was again a strong feedback from the consumers. So I think this whole process of feedback, the push we get from our consumers actually makes us do better. And I hope that continues to come and keeps us on our toes.
And I'm sure you don't have any dearth of consumer feedback that you get. Also, Prab, interesting that, Uber's role in the last mile connectivity in India. So how are you working with, OTAs or airlines? I know you're working with airports and railway stations to ensure that, that gap is filled.
I think we truly believe that serving the consumer in India has to be a team sport. And different players with different skill sets have to come together to make that experience incredibly magical. An example of this is today, you are able to book an Uber to go to the airport. And when you land at, say, Bangalore airport, you will have a clear experience, wayfinding, pickup locations. You will be able to kind of get into the Uber with a PIN and be able to get to your location. Imagine being able to now extend that from your door to door. What will it take? Imagine being able to extend that to the time you were booking the trip on one of the OTAs or the airlines and what that will look like. So we are in active dialogue with multiple stakeholders. And you can imagine that technology is now making it easy for us to create these end-to-end experiences. Hopefully we can share a lot more when some of those are in the public domain. But we are keen to make sure that we work with multiple partners to make these magical experiences happen, because the consumers are demanding that, consumers want that convenience, and it also allows us to then serve and move consumers from the unorganized sector to the organized sector, which is where a lot of the future growth is going to come from.
Prab, you spoke about consumer and you said that you take feedback very seriously. What is the, if you have to rank the feedback that you get, what is the biggest grouse that consumers have? Is it with drivers or is it about the state of the cars? What is it?
I think I would not crystal ball into what matters more. Our consumers expect us to deliver on the core promises, but the way I look at this is the 3 core promises which Uber is making, and we need to deliver on that when it comes to consumers, which is safety, affordability, and reliability. Is the trip safe? Do I feel safe? And if there's a problem, I can reach out. Is the trip affordable, which will encourage me to give up my private vehicle and alternatives? And then is it reliable, that if you're promising a vehicle to turn up in X minutes, does the vehicle turn up? Does the trip play out as played out? Now, beyond that, then there are options we create for different segmentation, et cetera. Same way, do want to call out our earners, who are the backbone of the business, have very clear ask. The 3 things which they care for is earnings, which is why they come to the platform. Second is they care for transparency, that if you work with Uber, is Uber being a transparent platform? When things don't go well, if they have an issue, are we resolving it objectively and transparently? And third is safety. They also care for their safety. They want to make sure that when they are having a stranger in their private vehicle,
correct,
they can also have the comfort that the trip is safe, and in case something goes wrong, Uber will have their back. So it's actually about getting the basics right, but getting basics right takes a lot, and that's what we are focused on.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Prabh, for this discussion. I had a nice time talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.